Hello again, and welcome back to Granny Dorothy Visits. Today's topic is, your thoughts are more powerful than you realize. And the first reading from Wayne Dyer's Everyday Wisdom. You create your thoughts. Your thoughts create your intentions, and your intentions create your reality. And the last read I'm going to do, because it's a little bit long, is from The Magic of Believing, Claude M. Bristol. And remembering that this book was written, I think, just before I was born, so it's been around a long time. But this information is still very crucial to our lives, really. So this is entitled Mind Stuff Experiments. In order to get a clearer understanding of our subject, the reader should give thought to thought itself and to its phenomena. No one knows what thought really is, other than it is some sort of mental action. But, like the unknown element electricity, we see its manifestations everywhere. We see it in the actions and expressions of a child, in an aged person, in animals, and in fact to varying degrees in every living thing. The more we contemplate and study thought, the more we realize what a terrific force it is and how unlimited are its powers. Glance around as you read this. If you are in a furnished room, your eyes tell you that you are looking at a number of inanimate objects. That is true so far as visual perception is concerned. But in reality, you are actually looking at thoughts or ideas which have come into materialization through the creative force of some human being. It was a thought first that created the furniture, fashioned the window glass, gave form to the draperies and coverings. The automobile, the skyscraper, the great planes that sweep the atmosphere, the sewing machine, the tiny pin, 1,001 things, yes, millions of objects. Where did they come from originally? Only one source. From that strange force, thoughts. As we analyze further, we realize that these achievements, and in fact all of our possessions, came as a result of creative thinking. Ralph Waldo Emerson declared that the ancestor of every action is thought. When we understand that, we begin to comprehend that our world is governed by thought, and that everything without had its counterpart, originally within the mind. It is just as Buddha said many centuries ago, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. Your very life is your thinking, and the result of your thinking processes. Your flesh, bones, and muscles can be reduced to 70% water and a few chemicals of small value, but it is your mind and what you think that makes you what you are. The secret of success lies not without, but within the thoughts of man. Figuratively, thought makes giants out of pygmies, and often turns giants into pygmies. History is filled with accounts of how thought has made weak men strong and strong men weak, and we see evidence of its working around us constantly. You do not eat, wear clothes, run for a bus, drive for your automobile, go for a walk, or read a newspaper. You don't even raise your arm without a preceding thought impulse. While you may consider the motions you make as more or less automatic, perhaps caused by some physical reflexes, behind every single step you take in life, regardless of its direction, is that formidable and powerful force, thought. The very way you walk, the way you carry yourself, your talk, your manner of dress, all reflect your way of thinking. A slovenly carriage is an indication of slovenly thinking, whereas an alert, upright carriage is the outward sign of inward strength and confidence. What you exhibit outwardly, you are inwardly. You are the product of your own thought. What you believe yourself to be, you are. Thought is the original source of all wealth, all success, all material gain, all great discoveries and inventions, and of all achievements. Without it, there would be no great empires, no great fortunes, no great transcontinental rail lines, no modern conveniences. In fact, there would be no advance over life in the most primitive ages. Your thoughts, those that predominate, determine your character, your career, indeed your everyday life. Thus, it becomes easy to understand what is meant by the statement that a man's thought makes or breaks him. And when we realize that there can be no action or reaction, either good or bad, without the generating force of thought initiating it, the biblical saying, whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. And Shakespeare's words, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so, become more intelligible. Sir Arthur Eddington, the famous English physicist, says that to an altogether unsuspected extent, the universe in which we live is a creation of our minds, while the late Sir James Jeans, who was equally famous in the same field, suggested that the universe was merely a creation that resulted from the thought of some great universal mind underlying and coordinating all of our minds. Nothing is clearer than that the world's greatest scientists and thinkers of our age are not only voicing the ideas of the wisest men of old, but they are confirming the fundamental principle of this book. Almost since the beginning of the human race, the molding of men has been done by those who knew something of thought's great power. All the great religious leaders, kings, warriors, statesmen have understood this science and have known that people act as they think and also react to the thought of others, especially when it is stronger and more convincing than their own. Accordingly, men of powerful, dynamic thought have ever swayed the people by appealing to their minds, sometimes to lead them into freedom and sometimes into slavery. There never was a period in history when we should study our own thoughts more, try to understand them, and learn how to use them to improve our position in life by drawing upon the great source of power that lies within each of us. There was a time when I would have laughed at people who talked about the magnetic force of thought, how thought correlates with its object, how it can affect people and inanimate things even at great distances. But I no longer laugh, nor do others who know something of its power. For anyone who has any intelligence, sooner or later comes to the realization that thought can change the surface of the entire globe. Wow, this is positive or powerfully. There was one thing I wanted to read too. This is from still the same book, but at the beginning of the book, just one paragraph, because I thought it was pretty interesting. And it says, I am cognizant of the field that there are I am cognizant of the fact that there are powerful forces at work in this country that would dominate us, substituting a kind of regimentation for the competitive system which has made America great among nations. They would attempt to destroy individual thinking and initiative cherished ever since our Pilgrim Fathers established this country in defiance of old world tyranny. I believe that we must continue to retain the wealth of spirit of our forefathers, for if we don't, we shall find ourselves dominated in everything we do by a mighty few, and shall become serfs, in fact, if not in name. Thus, this work is written also to help develop individual thinking and doing. It's hard to sum up a whole book in just a little bit, that I give you a little bit at a time, feed you a bit. But I thought that was so powerful because, you know, we're always talking about, and I truly believe how important our thought is. What he's saying too is that the individual, that each one of us, our thoughts are important, not only to us, but to the whole world. Like we should have faith in our thoughts, and trust ourselves, and be mindful of our thinking, and realize that you value it. Matters what you think, and it's good to be individual, because we don't want to be a collective mob. I mean, everybody is different. God made us all different. Of course, we all want to get along with each other for sure, but I'm just saying, keep your mind open and trust your own thinking, and never stop thinking for yourself. You know, they say question things. Yes, you should question things, because you're responsible for you. Each one of us, we're responsible for ourselves. So we have to use the mind that God gave us and think about things. That's all I'm saying, is think about things. And as usual, I always want you to have a great life, and to be living in a world where people are kind and considerate of each other, because that's so important too. And so our thinking is critical. I send you my love. Until next week. Bye for now.